Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're doing well. There's been a little bit of a mini crash in the crypto market, and I thought we'd take a look at Bitcoin and have a look at some of the charts very quickly, and then also see if it's appropriate for us to maybe trade some or buy some. Firstly, just a little bit of boring stuff that I need to start with. This is trading theory for clients only. If you're not a client, I cannot determine if any of this is appropriate for you. So if you are watching, you're not a client, please reach out. But and we can see if this sort of thing is appropriate. Secondly, I'm quite risk adverse, and I think there's a whole world of investments out there we can buy that are far safer. So I don't see crypto as an essential investment asset, particularly for those of you in your superannuation, which many of my client accounts are superannuation. And but having said that, that doesn't mean that we can't look for trading opportunities when the charts or market conditions present them. And one thing that should be very concerning for the crypto market at the moment is that crypto appears to be breaking its correlation with the Nasdaq, so its correlation with US technology stocks or technology stocks in general. And we can have a look at that on the chart in a moment. And it seems to be, AI is becoming the hot thing now. So the technology stocks continue to boom, probably as a result of this whole artificial intelligence boom, and crypto isn't necessarily going along for the ride. So let's come back to the charts. Firstly, we're looking at a 1 hour chart here of Bitcoin. Now, as late as, well, that's only a few days ago, that's 4 days ago now, the price of Bitcoin was at around 63,500, and over a course of a few days, it dropped 15% in price. So quite a decent correction in the short term. It's been a little bit further than that down from the all-time high, but you can see there was steady selling, and then we've seen a little bit of a capitulation. In fact, it's probably going to roll over a little bit in the short term, although I don't put as much faith in those sloping trend lines. Then I think key price levels are more important. You can see that was the low there on Thursday on the 4th of July, and you can see it as it capitulated, it rallies back and it's having trouble getting past that ceiling. So I would say that level is a little bit more key. But you can see that the selling was fairly orderly, and then there was a big sort of capitulation on Friday night. So a little bit of panic selling, maybe some stop losses hit. So that was probably, that was a good short-term buying opportunity. You get that fear, that capitulation. Um, Secondly, if we move across to a daily chart, so here's a daily chart of Bitcoin. So this is the high from the 7th of June. So about a month ago now, 4 weeks ago, just above 71,000. And you can see when the price spiked down, it was actually down about 25%. And the price is still down 20%. So as per Wall Street's definition, if you fall 20%, you're in a bear market. What should be very concerning is that you can see there was, and I would draw the line here around the $60,000 level. You can see there's a lot of support around this, or there was a spike low there, the spike low there. Look at all those spike lows. A brief fall below, quickly recovered. Note once that it recovered, it found support there again. And then for about 5 or 6 days and late June, it found support there as well. And now we've had the spill beneath. So I'm looking on Twitter, on X, and I'm seeing a lot of these so-called crypto gurus. They're talking about the bottom is in, and they're posting charts showing that it's holding support. I tend to disagree with that, and I would say even if you take the low from there, let's just clear those lines so we can see things a little bit clearer. There's the low in May this year. And if you draw a line across there, you can kind of see that on the 24th of June. So, sorry, my computer's a bit slow today. You can see on the 24th of June, there was a spike down to test that level. A little bit of a recovery rally for, say, 5 or 10 days there. And now we're having a spill below that line. So that is fairly negative. But generally, what happens with these things is that you see a short-term bounce. You'll see a lot of the crypto people coming in to buy up to support this market. And of course, just a technical bounce as well. You don't usually get a clean break of support and have things just go down in a straight line. You generally get a bit of a attempted recovery, and that's maybe something we could look to trade in the short term if it's appropriate for your particular account and your risk tolerance. Um, and you might say, I guess if you wanted to be if you wanted to find a case for this being a support level, as a lot of the crypto people are, you could draw a sort of an angled trend line there, and you could say, okay, well, it's bouncing off this line, that this line's going to hold. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think that line is that significant. Um, but it's certainly a little bit oversold. You can kind of see, let's zoom in just a little bit. You can see the price making a lower low there. Now the RSI is starting to positively diverge and make, not so much a higher low, but it's holding its ground. So we're seeing the first signs of positive divergence, which is generally a buy signal when used in conjunction with other signals. We're not seeing it on the MACD yet, so it's very early days. But if we come across to a 5-year chart, a weekly chart, so each candle's weekly activity, you can see that it's in sort of what you'd call a flagpole and a flagging pattern. So when you look at a weekly chart, the case is still bullish for the price of Bitcoin. So we can see the flagpole, and then we can draw a flagging pattern there. So we can see that the price is in somewhat of it's a broadening flag, but that's still generally a bullish pattern. So you could make a case that even if this isn't going to resolve itself to the upside beyond the previous all-time record high, you could say there's at least a case for it swinging back up to test the top of that channel, maybe up to $65,000. Again, I'm not predicting that it will go to $65,000. I'm just trying to be unbiased, look at the charts. Is there an opportunity to trade it? So generally speaking, I probably won't be recommending this to too many clients. But for some of you that firstly, you have a positive view on the crypto market, or you have a high risk tolerance, you're looking for trades, you're looking for short-term growth, this would be the kind of thing that I would take a look at as a potential trade. So there is a case for it here, and it has had. One thing I forgot to show was the correlation with the Nasdaq. So this chart shows that. So let me just remove those drawings. So this goes back to this is almost a 4-year chart. So the black line is the Nasdaq, so the US technology stocks, which are, of course, many of the biggest stocks on the planet. I think if you look at Nvidia, Apple, and Microsoft, if they were countries, they'd be the 6th, 7th, and 8th largest country based on their valuation, which is quite crazy. Or maybe not, depending on your perspective. But you can see the price of Bitcoin, the green and red candles over the last 4 years, quite a strong correlation with the Nasdaq. It did get out ahead in 2021 when we had that boom. That's when all the, a lot of the scams were going on, like the FTX. Well, we didn't know. Well, most people didn't know it was a scam at that point, but there was a lot of hype in crypto, so crypto got ahead. But you can see the Nasdaq, the black line, did catch up, and then of course through late 2021 through to early 2023, there was a decline in both. Since then, the Nasdaq has started to, in relative terms, I know Bitcoin moves more in percentage terms, but in terms of the relationship it maintains, the Nasdaq has gone out ahead. So Bitcoin did briefly get to a slightly new all-time high. The Nasdaq was way above its previous all-time high, but you can see since April, the Nasdaq US tech stocks have continued on upward, and Bitcoin is diverging from the Nasdaq, and it's starting to fall and make a lower low for the move. So it seems to be decoupling from the Nasdaq. I would say this is pretty bearish. This is something that the crypto community should be very concerned about. I don't see a whole lot of concern for it. In fact, I've seen people posting about how this is good for Bitcoin, that it's breaking its correlation with the Nasdaq. That would be good if the Nasdaq was going down and Bitcoin was going up, but the opposite is happening. So something to be aware of. Now, it doesn't maintain a perfect correlation with the Nasdaq. There have been times where it's got way ahead. There have been other times where it's lagged and then caught up. You can see in April it sort of, in relative terms, caught up. So I might be calling this a little bit too early, but this should be of concern that this correlation is breaking. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a rundown as to what's happening. So if you'd like to look at this more closely or see if it's appropriate for your account, please reach out for a one-on-one chat, and we can see where it fits into your portfolio. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Cheers.